Welcome to the Dojo Talk Podcast. Please remove them shoes before entry.
The master is here, and you still have not taken off your shoes.
Yeah. Living every day to define man's mission. Look into the sky for divine transmission. Deaf man's vision makes the blind man listen. Eyes on the prize, this is blind ambition. Thank you.
You. Oh, I said I'm gonna stop saying yo, and I never do. Welcome to what episode we on this week? 13? Yeah, we're on episode 13 of the Dojo Talk Podcast. I'm your host, Serial Sensei. Today, I'm going to try to get through 3 albums. 3 albums being Oddisee's Iceberg, Marlon Craft's mixtape, He Looked Like Nothing, and then an album from an instrumental group called Hammock called Everything and Nothing. I'm going to try to get through all 3 of these. Hopefully, it might not happen. I definitely want to talk about Oddisee and Marlon Craft, though. Hopefully I can get to Hammock at the end. But before that, I got to run through this March Madness nonsense that's been going on. My bracket, man. The bracket game. The bracket struggle's real right now. So I'm glad I filled out a bracket this year because it's made me watch the games because I've kind of been out of the loop of college basketball for a while. But like the games I've been seeing this year since the tournament started have all been dope. But man, some of these teams have been hurting my feelings. 2 of my Final Four teams are already gone. So Villanova got bounced out like early, man. Just extra early for no reason. And Louisville, who I knew wasn't going to make it to the Final Four. I was just being generous because my Final Four had too many number 1 seeds and it made me uncomfortable. That I think my entire Final Four minus Louisville was all number 1 seeds, and I just knew that wasn't a good look. So Louisville takes an early break or an early boot. My Cinderella, I ain't gonna say my Cinderella team because I only picked them to win 1 game, but Princeton got booted out by Notre Dame. They lost by 2. I thought they were going to get that W. Xavier, who I did pick to beat Maryland, but didn't think they would go any further. Them dudes have been looking like they're rolling. They're looking like they're about to be on fire. Man, yeah, this bracket. And then Duke. And, all right, so as a fan, I was happy. I was so happy that Duke lost last night. Like, y'all don't understand. Because I'm a UNC fan. So, seeing Duke lose that meant a lot. That meant a lot to me, seeing them lose to South Carolina. But it was not good for my bracket because I had Duke going to, I think, the Elite 8 before I was going to give them the boot. But, yeah, they didn't even make it to the Sweet 16. Go figure. But I guess not all hope is lost. I got a few. My number 1 overall seed, North Carolina, who I have taken the entire tournament, still in there, still holding it down. Gonzaga, who I have also making it to the Final Four, is still in there. Who knows for how long? We'll see. A couple of my other teams, I picked Rhode Island. Go Rhode Island. They out there holding it down. They still in the tournament. Not sure how they're gonna do against Oregon. I don't have them winning that game, but I guess we'll see. UCLA. Yeah, let me talk about UCLA real quick because there's all this hype about Lonzo Ball and his brothers and his dad, who's been out here saying all kinds of just outlandish, whatever noise he be talking, but. I'll be honest, I'd never watched any of them play. So I watched the UCLA game last night against Cincinnati. And yeah, man, that dude Lonzo, man, the dude can ball. He's very well-rounded. He spreads the ball really good. That offense really in general was really good, man. A lot of ball movement. Everybody was getting touches. And I didn't catch the first half, but from what I heard, Cincinnati's defense was, I guess, keeping them in check. But that second half, man, they got it rolling. And once they got it rolling, like Cincinnati just didn't. They had no answer for Ball or anybody else. As a matter of fact, so actually I got that right in my bracket too, because I have North Carolina. Well, I guess it's yet to be seen because UCLA is playing Kentucky next. So, and those are two games that I did pick right. I got UCLA and Kentucky playing, with UCLA winning, and then UCLA playing North Carolina. So we'll see how that turns out. But this tournament's been fun, man. From the games that I have gotten a chance to watch, I haven't seen any bad games. I know there have been some blowouts, but the games that I've personally watched have all been really good. So yeah, that's just my tidbit on the tournament. Go Tar Heels. I hope they take it all the way. I have money riding on this bracket, even though I went into this kind of figuring that out. My bracket was going to be terrible, but you know, what can you do? It's March Madness. I'll say it. I believe out of all the championships you can get in any sport, March Madness is definitely the hardest, because there's no best out of 7. There's no second shot. It's you show up, you play. This is your one chance to win. If you don't, you're out. And upsets just happen out of the blue, as we saw yesterday with Duke going down. Even if you're a number 1 seed, man, nobody's safe in this tournament. L's happen every day. So, but yeah, man, March Madness it's been fun so far. So I'm gonna just try not to even look at my bracket for the rest of this tournament. I'll just look at it when it's over, and hopefully none of my other number 1 seeds get booted out. So UNC, y'all gotta keep it up, man. And Gonzaga, y'all don't let me down. Don't have me looking stupid. I got y'all going to the Final Four, so y'all my only 2 teams left. So keep me alive, keep hope alive for me. But yeah, that's about it for a little sports talk. And before I get into the albums real quick, as y'all know, when I do my fighting podcast with my co-host Antar Cool, we run down all the fights that happen during the week. So look out for that within the next couple of days. We'll probably be covering more than just the UFC, because UFC had a card this weekend, which I had to catch the following day because it happened while I was at work. Boxing had a card with a Triple G and Jacobs fight. I kind of need to rewatch that. I was watching it, but I was like half paying attention. But yeah, that went down this week. World Series of Fighting had a card this week, and they had 3 title fights. So I'm pretty sure we'll talk about a couple of those. So yeah, be on the lookout. Be some content dropping this week. So yeah, I guess without further ado, let's get into some music, man. So the first album up to bat is Iceberg, or The Iceberg, I should say, by Oddisee. I've mentioned Oddisee before, I think actually on the very first episode of this podcast. His Alwasta EP made my top 20 of last year. I can't remember if he was top 5. He might have been top 5. I know he was at least top 10. But I'm pretty sure he was top 5, or like just right outside of my top 5. But yeah, that EP was awesome. And then he had the Odd Tape, which was an instrumental project after that. And now we got another full-length project. Like he's been busy, man. He's been dropping a lot of just work within like the last year or so. And it's all been quality. And this Iceberg album, man, it's the same. Like like I've said before, man, this dude doesn't drop anything. He drops no whack albums. Like he's probably one of the most consistent artists I've ever listened to. And this album is more of the same of that, is a testament to that. Sonically, it's kind of like the Alwasta EP, if you listen to that. And in some ways, it definitely has a lot more of a jazzy and soulful, even like a bit of like an electronic feel to it. Yeah, it's crazy to see how much like his sound has just evolved over the course of his career. Like if anybody who's been listening to him since like the early Diamond District albums and his early instrumental projects like Rock Creek Park, and even albums before that, or before I even started listening to him, which had more of a, I guess you could say, traditional hip hop feel to them, if that's the way I could word it. But now, like, this has like true like musicianship to it, horns, drums, strings, just. And I know he does have a band, and they're in full effect. Like, the production on this album is very lively, it's very jazzy. Like the opening track, Digging Deep, it opens up with like these just live horns that just hit you right in the face. And yeah, the production on this album, man, it's Oddisee being Oddisee. I don't at this point, I don't really know what else to say. Like, I feel like if you like the sound of the Odd Tape and the I'll Watch the EP, then you'll definitely like this. It's in that musical stratosphere, I guess, so to speak, sonically, how it sounds. I do think at some point it gets, I'm trying to think of the word. I don't say too happy. I feel like that's a bad way to, just to throw an example, one of the only few tracks on here, honestly, I didn't like it, but it wasn't like a favorite of mine, was Want to Be, which is this very happy-go-lucky, and I don't mean that like in a bad way. There's nothing wrong with a feel-good song, but that one was almost too feel-good-ish for me, if that even makes sense. But I mean, other than that, as far as like on the production tip, I don't have any complaints, man. This album's eclectic. Like I said, it's funky, it's jazzy, and then on top of the production, as I've probably said before also about Oddisee, if you listen to him, you get content, and you get lots of it. Really, from the opening track on, it never stops with him tackling some kind of topic, whether it be a social issue, a personal issue, racism, religious. He even touched on sexism, which I wish I could remember the track. I'll probably have to look at the track listing. But yeah, man, he touches on everything. Built by Pictures, that's one of my favorites on here, of basically him talking about he kind of starting from nothing and not having the instructions, so to speak, on how to build what he needs to build, but he's figuring out like how to make his way and how to make it work. And that's a dope track. Hold It Back, which actually follows that, is another dope one, of him just kind of letting his thoughts loose and not kind of doing what the title of the song implies, not being afraid to let your thoughts free, and being free to just, speak your opinion, speak your piece on whatever it is you need to speak your piece about. But one track I definitely want to highlight is You Grew Up. My first listen through this album, this was one of the tracks that really stood out just because of the concept. And it's kind of a story of him talking about how he had, a white friend. Obviously, they're of different race, but when they were kids, that didn't really matter. They didn't really care. That they didn't. I'm gonna say they didn't understand the like racial construct of how the world works, but it wasn't a factor. They're just kids, kind of having fun, doing their thing. But as they got older, so I guess the white kid that he was referring to, his dad had gotten fired from the job that he worked at, and he blamed Oddisee's parents, who, if you know about Oddisee, like as far as his ethnicity, I believe he's Sudanese, if I'm saying that right. But his parents are of foreign descent, and the kid basically said, "Hey, you're immigrant, dad, or your immigrant people took my dad's job, and now we can't be friends anymore." And I just thought that was really deep and really dope, because I've heard people tackle, or rappers tackle, like racism, but not in that kind of manner and make it that personal. Not sure if that's a true story, even if it's not. So like I've never heard it tackled kind of from that angle. where like a friend that you grew up with is now blaming blaming you or your parents for making his life harder over something that you didn't even really have control over. So yeah, I thought that was dope. And he also mentions how when the kid got older, he became a cop and he shot some innocent colored person or something like that. But just listen to that track, man. That the concept is really dope and definitely speaks to the climate of kind of, I guess, sadly where we're at in the world right now. But that was a really good standout track. Another standout track, which I think this was one of the singles. It was at least one of the first songs I heard before the album came out. Was a track called which is a track called Like Really, and it's kind of just him drawing these hypocritical like parallels and just kind of like stupid things we do, like he had a line or something about like, I see you on you claim you're broke something, but I see you out here on vacation and things like that, and how once again tackling the social aspect, saying things when people say things like, all lives matter, we're all created equal, and Oddisee is like, well, the stats don't show that. I think the correct wording he used was where the stats show we're not adjacent, and just things like that. It was basically a track of him kind of poking fun at it, because the track isn't really like doesn't have like a serious vibe. It's actually pretty upbeat, and it's kind of just him poking fun at the hypocrisies that I feel like everybody kind of knows exist, but you kind of, some people turn the other cheek. They kind of act like they don't know what's going on, but yeah, he just kind of points those out. My favorite track on here, though, track number 10, and this is only a 12-track album, so it is a pretty quick listen. It kind of feels like once it gets going, it just kind of ends. But Waiting Outside, man, this track right here, this track gets repeated. The concept and the hook of this track really just kind of definitely speak to me. It's kind of him just talking to himself, but like more specifically like his brain and his conscience, and his conscience is basically telling him like, why don't you talk to me? We got a whole lot of issues we need to sort out, and there's a lot going on in this head of yours, and you're kind of just acting like I'm not here. And the brain's just kind of like, it's cool. Whenever you can avoid me but so long. I'll be waiting outside, when you're ready to speak. And yeah, that track, man, just go listen to that one, man. I'm pretty sure anybody who, like, if you have those kind of issues of kind of you being like stuck in your own head a lot, or if you suffer from like anxiety, that track will definitely, especially like that first verse specifically, will definitely speak to you. So yeah, that's probably my favorite track on this entire project. Really, I can't think of any bad songs on here, man. Digging Deep was a good start to the album. Things, which follows that, it's another kind of really upbeat jam. Has some really nice grooves in it, really catchy, of him just kind of talk about literally just things that we all go through, and how we all have the same issues, same problems, and things like that. I mentioned Hold It Back already. Never Not Getting Enough, that's a really good track. Has kind of a go-go feel to it, which makes sense because he is from PG County / like DC area, so he's, he definitely has the go-go influence on that track. Actually, I think that track just came out with a video, so I might leave a description to that below that you guys can check out. Yeah, man, to be honest, that's like over more than half the album that I just reviewed. Like I said, this is only 12 tracks, and it's dope, man. Like I said, it's just a lot of good content, a lot of good grooves. Really, the musicianship to me is what kind of stands out on this album. But as I've also mentioned before, and I think I said this when I kind of briefly went over the Al Wasta EP, But his skills as an MC have definitely gotten a lot better since when I first heard him. Not that he was ever a whack rapper, but if you listen, you can hear the improvements. He's a lot more experimental with different flows now. He can do the double time. He can slow it down. He gets his singing on a little bit in here. I'm pretty sure on the track Things that's him singing the hook. Yeah, he does a couple of like hooks and like background ad libs vocals on here. I'm pretty sure that's him because his album's really light on the features, so I'd assume that's him doing most of the singing. Because aside from somebody named Twan, I don't know. I could be saying your name wrong. My bad, dude. But there's a feature on Never Not Getting Enough with a dude named Twan or Toine, whatever that spells. He's on the Never Not Getting Enough track. And then the very last track, Rights and Wrongs, which features Olivia St. Louis, which he's an artist he's collaborated with plenty of times on his other projects. So aside from that, I think on the vocals, Oddisee pretty much carries the load of this album. And yeah, man, I kind of wish I could go more in depth about this. I can't really think of anything else to say without being too repetitive. But like I said, man, this really funky, jazzy hip hop album. Just imagine something kind of like The Roots, maybe not as hard hitting. You know, The Roots got Questlove on the drums, so you can't really compete with that. But yeah, imagine something like The Roots, but kind of just one MC. But the sound might be probably a little more eclectic than The Roots. The Roots definitely have a lot more of a hip hop sound to them, but he's kind of like that, but more jazz infused, more funk infused, a little bit electronic infused. And like I said, as far as content, you're gonna get social issues, racism, and just everything, man. Like he literally touches on pretty much any topic you can think of. And I wish I could remember. There was a bar in here about him talking about him and his sister going for the same job, and him kind of pointing out, I guess, the sexism of it is that the job considers him to be more qualified, even though his sister has like the degrees and things to back it up, and he's just a dude. Like he doesn't have like the credentials that she does, but they're more willing to hire him just because he's a man, and they don't really give her a second look. I wish I could remember off the top of my head what track this was, which sucks because I just listened to this album actually not too long before I recorded this, and I don't remember what track it was. But just listen to this whole project, man. This was a really dope listen. It's just another notch onto Oddisee's discography. Like I've said this plenty of times, and I'll say it again. I don't get why he isn't more known. I mean, I'm pretty sure his pockets aren't hurting on his Bandcamp page. He's got a world tour going on right now, and he's hitting Germany, the Netherlands. He's ending the tour in a couple of places here in the States. He's hitting like Philly, New York, Boston. Like I'm pretty sure his pockets ain't hurting. Like he's definitely getting money, American money, Euro money. He's getting all that global money. But I just feel like in terms of, I guess, notoriety, I would think that he would be more recognized. But you know, I guess it is what it is. Unfortunately, in the music biz, it happens. Some people just kind of slip a bit under the radar. Like I said, maybe not monetarily speaking, but in terms of just notoriety and getting props. But I'll continue to be an advocate for this dude, man. He's super talented musician, talented MC. So yeah, the Iceberg, man. Give this joint a listen. Give it a listen. Like I said, it's only 12 tracks, so it's not long. It's not a drag to listen to. It's definitely good, like, vibing music. Like, you can just kind of put it on in the car and that jazziness kind of hits you, man. You just kind of groove to it, just jam out to it. But yeah, Oddisee, the Iceberg gets the Serial Sensei stamp of approval. So I'll leave a link, probably to his Bandcamp, so you can listen to it, and I'll probably leave a link to any music videos he might have for this album, so you guys can check that out. And yeah, that's it. I don't got nothing else to say on the Iceberg. Great work from Oddisee. Another project to add to growing list of just quality work that he's put out thus far. There's a next album though that I want to get into. This one kind of caught me by surprise. Artist is Marlon Craft, who I believe is from New York, and the album, or I get a free album, mixtape, whatever you want to call it, is called He Looked Like Nothing. I heard of Marlon Craft through Facebook. through if anybody follows Team Backpack on Facebook, you know they post a lot of like freestyle videos, like cypher videos from battle rappers to a few like actual like artists, like dudes like Saha the Prince, I know have been on there. Joel Ortiz has popped up on there a couple times. And Marlon Craft was one of those dudes who kind of popped up on there, and you see like his still picture, and he's kind of like the skinny white dude. And I know the whole kind of like, well, at least I feel like the whole white guy rapper stigma, I feel like it's not a thing anymore. Like, you can't look at a white dude and just be like, oh, there's no way he can rap. But the one thing about him that stood out wasn't just the fact that he could rap, but like, he's one of those guys where you hear his voice and you look at him and you're like, all right, there's a disconnect. Like, something, his voice doesn't sound like the way he looks. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, he has a really good cadence. He sounds good on a microphone. Like, he's one of those dudes just been blessed with good vocals. Like, he just sounds good on a beat. So I listened to, a couple of his freestyles and stuff from the Team Backpack videos, and I actually didn't even know if he had a project. I just randomly, one of his videos had popped up on my newsfeed, so I just kind of Googled him, and I came across this was the latest project that I think he's had. This actually came out last year, so I'm a little late. Came out in December of last year, so I decided, all right, he's obviously got bars. You're not gonna be on any Team Backpack videos if you don't have any bars. So, but what I always question about rappers like that who can like body freestyle videos and just videos where they're kind of just spitting is, can you craft a song? Because that, going into the booth and just going off and then crafting an actual song, that's two different beasts. And proud to say, I ain't gonna say proud, not like I know the dude personally, but I guess glad to say that he can definitely craft a song, man. This He Looked Like Nothing. This is a good project for. I know he has more projects than this. This is my personal like introduction to his music, and this definitely left a good impression. It definitely has that New York boom bap feel to it, but it's not so, it doesn't sound like dated or anything like that. And actually, shout out to the producers on here. I don't know if I can get through all of them, but Arbis Beats, if I'm saying that right, Donato, Beats in My Backpack, and I don't know how to say this, SVMSON, that guy, whoever that gentleman is. Yeah, those three pretty much handled like all the production on the entire project. But sonically, this album, like I said, it has like that New York boom bap element to it. It's, for the most part, aside from a few tracks, it is a real like chill vibe to it. Not really much on here that you would like turn up to, or it's good like head nodding music, just kind of like just vibe out to it. And what I like about Craft as an MC is, like I said, obviously he's got the cadence. He's definitely got like a good, just like captivating voice to hold your attention. But he's got the bars, but it's not just it's not just punchline after punchline after punchline. Like, he's actually tying in concepts and still addressing issues while still having like good lines and good punches. If you listen to the intro track Rise, that'll pretty much give you a good feel of what you're gonna get with this album. Topic wise, it's kind of a variety of kind of him, kind of, I guess you could say, kind of like his take on the world and the things that he's seen, that he's been through, as far as personal issues, things in the music industry, things he doesn't really feel about other rappers. But yeah, it's kind of from that perspective, kind of like a good observer, kind of just telling you like what he kind of sees going on. And actually, like, I want to highlight the track Reason, which I think has a music video, so I might leave a link to that if I remember. But there was a line in there about he's one of those rappers who, obviously I've said he's a white rapper, but he addresses his race, and also how, I guess, maybe he's noticed that other white rappers want to get into hip hop, which, you know, is obviously a product of black culture, but he addresses how some of them get in for, like, they get into it for the wrong reasons, or they'll get into the culture and they want to be cool, but they don't want to say Black Lives Matter or anything like that. And I wish I could remember like the exact bar, but he said something like that on the track Reason. So I thought that was dope. Like, he's definitely aware of what's going on. What are some other highlight tracks? Really, I think this album starts really strong. I would say the middle part, it kind of, I'm gonna say, falls off. It kind of tapers a little bit, but it finishes strong also. Like I said, the intro track Rise is really good. Working is a really kind of good, like, feel good song. He also does a few, I won't call it singing, I guess you could say, like, harmonizing. His harmonizing voice is pretty cool. He doesn't overstretch it or try to, he's not like on his Drake, you know, anything like that. He does it just enough when he needs to make it work, but it's not like overpowering. It's definitely like, there's no auto-tune or anything like that, but his harmonizing voice definitely works. So Working was a good track. Road Interlude, which he has a couple of like interlude tracks in here, which are all pretty dope. I like them. They're only, some of them like a minute long, but they're good. They're good tracks though. They're definitely good tracks. I guess maybe it kind of seems like maybe they were songs that I guess weren't, they couldn't, like, maybe they were just ideas that couldn't be flushed out into a full song, but like the bars were still good, so maybe he just kept them. I don't know, just kind of what I would think. But that was cool. Take My Time, which is probably one of the biggest standout tracks, which also features another New York MC named Jay Lonzo, who I've seen pop up online. Those two had a really good track. The Static, which is probably one of my favorite tracks. Really smooth cut. Shout out to, her name is Leah Rich. She's one of the other features on this album. She laced the hook pretty good on that one. And I would say after Static, there's an interlude, which is kind of just him talking. And then it goes to Wishes. Wishes is kind of funny how he's talking about he wishes that he could sing. He wants to be different. I don't know how I feel about the hook. He kind of, I'm not gonna say he stretches out the singing on that song, but it's okay. I don't know. This is where the project for me, and I'm gonna say, like I said, it doesn't go down, but I think it loses a little bit of steam. It goes to Wishes, then it goes to Long Way. You got Just One Mo, which is actually probably one of the most upbeat songs on here. Empathy, gotta mention that track too. I should have wrote some of these lyrics down, man, because he's definitely got a lot of good lines in some of these songs. And I know in Empathy, he talked about a lot of issues as far as things like, oh man, there was a bar about how he mentioned something like he can't kill another person because he sees too much of him and them, so killing them would be like killing himself. Something like that, man. I wish I could do the bars justice, but that was a really like good introspective track of kind of him kind of seeing like all the, I guess you could say, all the negativity in the world, but trying to, you know, just really, like the track says, just empathize with people and not, he doesn't want to cause any more trouble or add anything else, because the world's already, there's enough nonsense going on. He's not trying to add to the problem, so he's kind of just trying to get people to understand each other better. And the track ends, no, sorry. Then it goes to Reason, which I mentioned earlier. That was a good, this is kind of where the album actually picks back up. So I would say from Wishes up to Just One Mo. So that's 7, 8, 9, and 10. For me personally, it's kind of where, like I said, it starts strong, then it goes like another, like one notch below a little bit. Like I said, they're not bad tracks, just not my favorite. But then it kind of picks back up. Empathy, like I said, was a good track. Reason was a good track. Bugs Bunny, which was another, or Bugs Bunnies, I should say plural, which was an interlude. And that one's kind of another one of those really short, like kind of 1 minute tracks. But it fits good within the album. And then he ends it with Alive, which is probably one of the harder hitting tracks on the album. So this album has pretty good variety. It's, like I said, it does, I think, to me overall have kind of a chill vibe. There are a few songs that are a bit more upbeat. Like Alive was a little bit more upbeat. Just One More was a little more upbeat. Take My Time, I won't say it was upbeat per se, but it definitely, if there were any New York like boom bap, like, I don't say bangers, I don't know if that's the word, but that one, like, it hits. Like that's a New York that's a New York track right there, especially with him and Jay Lonzo, who they don't really trade off, but they're barring it up. So yeah, man, he's got really good wordplay. His pen game is definitely strong. He can definitely, like I said, he breaks that stigma of kind of those rappers who, like those rappity rappers, if you want to call it. Like, he's not, I can't put him in that mold, because I think he's decent at like crafting songs and sticking to a concept, and it's not just, oh, I'm gonna just get on the track and I'm gonna just throw a bunch of bars at you, but I'm not really saying anything. I say he definitely tackles a lot of good issues in a different way from Oddisee, who I mentioned earlier. But it's still good, man. It's definitely a quality project, and I would definitely recommend listening to this because it's a free download. So I'm gonna leave a link to the Bandcamp page so you guys can check that out. But yeah, man, give this kid's dope, man. From the freestyle vids to the songs. I guess real quick, just to run back through this album real quick, if there were any standout tracks I would recommend if you just kind of want to get a feel for what you would get into, definitely listen to Take My Time with Jay Lonzo. Listen to The Static. Listen to Reason. And listen to the Rise intro, the very first track on this album. Those, if you like those or any of those songs, that'll give you a good feel for what you're about to hear for 14 tracks. And this album also isn't a long listen. You can get through this fast. It's not a hassle. You know, it's kind of an in and out, kind of like Oddisee, and I guess in a different way. Oddisee was a lot more like funky, but like this for me is a good vibing music too. Like I said, a lot of it is really chill with the boom bap element. You can kind of just put it on, just head nod, and listen to some witty wordplay, and yeah, man, just listen to bars. It's a good mix of everything. So yeah, Marlon Craft, he looked like nothing. Shout outs to him, man. This was my introduction to his music. I definitely can say you've gained a fan. So I may have to go back and listen to some of these other albums or songs that he's put out that I have not heard yet. But yeah, man, give Marlon Craft a look. And let's see. You know what? I actually didn't run on time as much as I thought I would. So I guess I will get to this last album, which I didn't think I was gonna get a chance to cover. It's kind of hard for me to review this album. One, because it is a bit lengthy. Not only is it lengthy in track listing, but some of the songs themselves are actually long. But I had to give it a mention. The group is Hammock, and these guys are out of Tennessee. I first became aware of them, man, way back. I'm actually on their Bandcamp page now. So it is 2017 now, and I think the first track I ever heard from them was, in 2005. So the album that introduced me to them was an album called Canonic, and I was kind of back then going through a phase where I was really venturing out into other, musical worlds other than hip hop, trying to see, what else was out there in the musical landscape. And I came across these dudes when I was kind of going through, I guess, like my little instrumental music phase where I didn't really want to hear any rapping. Just wanted to hear either a really dope beat with nobody rapping over it or just some kind of good instrumental that I could vibe out to. And Canonic had tracks like The Air Between Us. Their music is ambient. It's pretty much like really good instrumental ambient music. Almost like something you would hear in like a movie score. It's like an entire project of that. So I listened to a few songs from Canonic. They had another album called Departure Songs that I had listened to a few tracks of, and then Oblivion Hymns. And then they kind of like disappeared for a while, or I don't know if they disappeared or maybe I just kind of stopped maybe checking for them. But yeah, I remember after Oblivion Hymns, which was 2013, I'd kind of just not heard from them from a very long time. And then one day I was just, randomly Googling stuff. And I just, one of their songs just kind of like randomly popped up in my head. And I Googled them. I was like, let me see if these dudes have actually put out anything, maybe recently. And come to find out, they had like 2 projects that I didn't even know existed that were released within like the last 2 years. One of them was Raising Your Voice, Trying to Stop an Echo. And the other one is the album I'll talk about today, Everything and Nothing. This came out in, April 1st of last year. So once again, a little late to the party. But yeah, like I said, I can't go too in depth to this album because I haven't given it like repeat listens as much as I've done the other 2 albums that I've talked about. Because like I said, this album's 20 tracks long. And then you have, within those 20 tracks, you have some songs that are like 5 or 6 minutes long. But I have to recommend this album because this joint, man, like this is the definition of just like blissful, beautiful music, like from beginning to end. Just the songs have like this really like big landscapes. They're really orchestral. Great instrumentation. Like I said, it's like listening to a movie soundtrack. Just strings, guitars, it's everything. It's so peaceful. It's kind of hard to describe. I'll have to leave a track or 2 that you guys can listen to. Some of these tracks do have vocalists. I wish I could give the vocalists some credit, but I don't know. I don't know who they are. I don't know if it's one of the guys in the group or if it's someone else, but I know a few of these tracks do have vocals. But for the most part, they're just serene, peaceful. I like to call this like cloud music. Like, put it on, put your headphones on, and you just float, and you continue to float. And then I guess after 20 tracks, you will come back to earth and wonder what just happened. Like, yeah, I can't really go too in depth aside from just, if you want to hear this beautiful music, like in terms of just straight instrumentation. Just something really, really big, really grand, peaceful, just like luscious. I don't know any other words to describe it, but it's really just beautiful, gorgeous ambient music that will just take you away. I think I meant to research this a little more, because ever since that Canonic album that I heard way back when, I was thinking, man, like, these dudes need to do some movie scores. And I don't know if they've done any major movies, but I think they have scored like a few indie films. I might have to research more. I could be wrong on that. But yeah, man, if you need something to keep you calm, something to just really relax to, and as a testament, I could say to this album, I like to write. That's a hobby of mine. I don't even know if I've ever mentioned that on this podcast, but one of my things when I write is I normally don't like noise in the background. Like, my mind has to be completely clear. I can't be around like noise. Even music I love. Like, I don't even normally like music when I'm writing, because I get too caught up in the song and not enough in what I'm writing, or by accident I'll like type out a lyric or a hook or something and not be paying attention to what I was doing. But as a testament to this album, man, I put this on while I was writing, and it didn't bother me one bit. Like, did not bother me at all. I think I let this album, I don't think it played all the way through, but I got pretty far into this album while I was writing, and I realized, like, yo, I can leave this on, and this might be the only album I have that I can play while I'm writing, and it doesn't bother me at all. And actually, in some ways, it kind of helps me out. Like, I can't even really describe it, but I got to be in a certain kind of mood to listen to this. But if I do, I got 20 tracks of just pure bliss to choose from. Like, there aren't any bad tracks on this album. So if you want something, like I said, just beautiful, like, ambient music with awesome musicianship, with guitars and strings and any beautiful instrument you can think of is probably in this album. So yeah, man, Hammock, Everything and Nothing. Give this joint a listen, man. This was a phenomenal piece of music that I listened to, and I had to cop. I couldn't just get a digital. Had to cop the actual CD. And shout out to them, man, because I ordered this CD on like a Saturday, and I swear I got this within like 2 days. So I don't know if y'all are like FedEx and overnight in your orders, but whatever y'all did, man, and I appreciate it, because I got this album really fast in the mail compared to other albums I've purchased. But yeah, I'm not gonna drag this album out. Give this a listen, man. I'll leave a song or two that y'all can check out. Y'all can listen to cloud music like I did, and just kind of get lost in the ambience that this album gives you. So yeah, man, I guess that's about it for today. I'm not gonna keep y'all here too long. So I guess a quick recap, man. Oddisee to Iceberg. You want something jazzy, something funky, with content galore from a really good MC. Slight mention, which I think I mentioned when I said that I'll watch the EP. You can play this around your kids because he never cusses, so that's a plus. I can listen to this with little brothers in the car, and it's not a problem. So yeah, man, if you want some music like that, give Oddisee a listen. Marlon Craft, if you a fan of more of that boom bap New York sound. Also, you want something you can just kind of like head nod to, vibe out to, and you still want to hear really dope lyrics, good content, and bars. Give Marlon Craft, He Looked Like Nothing. Give that a listen. And Hammock, Everything and Nothing. If you just want to get lost, just want to put your headphones on and go travel to like another universe for an hour or whatever, however long that album is, give that a listen, man. So yeah, man, three dope albums. I will recommend that you listen to, and if you like, to buy all of them. You know, support the good music that's out there from the people who don't get as, you know, much notoriety as, you know, people in your top 40 radio, you know, all that good stuff. Y'all know the drill. I'll leave links so you can support the artist if you feel to do so. I don't think I really have any parting shots. As far as albums go, I know my man Devin the Dude put out an album. Not that I don't even know if any of y'all listen to him, but I'm plugging him anyway, because Devin is one of them dudes from Houston, from Texas, who, when people mention like the legends, and you know, you'll talk about dudes like Scarface, Ghetto Boys, Zero, UGK. Devin's up there, man. Devin's been his music doesn't sound like any of those artists I just mentioned, but Devin, he's been holding it down for a long time, and I love his kind of like comedic approach to music. So that I'll probably be reviewing that. I do plan on purchasing that album, and I'll probably give my thoughts on that soon. And like I said, I mentioned in the beginning of the podcast, as far as fights are concerned, a lot of fights. A lot of people got punched and kicked in the face this last weekend, so be on the lookout for that. Me and Anti-Cool will be breaking down the fights and all the good action that happened this weekend, and any news that happens to come up in the fight world maybe between now and then we'll also cover. But yeah, that's about all I got for today. So relevant links will be in the description below that you can check out. If you've listened to me babble for this far, give me a like, share, a reblog. I don't get a lot of views, so I appreciate anybody who does take the time to listen. I'm gonna stop because I feel my voice. I feel like my voice is failing me right now. But yeah, man. Serial Sensei, Dojo Talk Podcast. Appreciate the listen. Hope you guys have a good week. And until next time, I will catch you guys later. Peace.